Welcome to the Explainer. If you drive in Victoria, trust me, this is an explainer you absolutely cannot afford to miss. We're talking about that heart-dropping, sudden, and just plain chaotic reality of a roadside emergency. One second you're cruising along singing to the radio, and literally the next, you're stranded on the shoulder with cars whipping past you at 100 kilometers an hour. It's pure panic. But today, we're going to take that roadside panic and turn it into a manageable, highly protected process. Okay, let's dive right into this. Just picture this scenario. It's 5:30 p.m., you're crawling along the Monash Freeway in bumper-to-bumper peak hour traffic, and out of nowhere, bang, you've been rear-ended. Or, maybe your engine just completely dies. The hazard lights go on, your stress levels absolutely spike, and the very first question racing through your mind isn't just, when is help gonna arrive? It's usually, how much is this gonna cost me, and who do I even call? That is exactly the kind of chaotic situation we're preparing you for today.
So here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the unexpected breakdown. 2, navigating the insurance process. 3, the true cost of towing. 4, the strict government rules. And finally, 5, knowing your consumer rights.
Let's start with Section 1, the unexpected breakdown. This is the immediate reality that forces you to call for a tow in the first place, right? Breakdowns just do not care about your schedule. The most common triggers we see are flat tires, dead batteries, lockouts, running on empty, and of course, collisions. Now you might be thinking, hey, a flat tire? I can just change that myself on the side of the road. But here's the reality. On Melbourne's construction-heavy roads, what looks like a simple flat might actually be a severely bent rim or a major alignment issue from a massive pothole. And what looks like a dead battery? Well, it could easily be a failing alternator or a really complex electrical fault. Even those minor fender benders can cause hidden undercarriage or frame damage. Trying to drive off or attempting a risky DIY fix on the side of a busy highway can easily cause more damage or seriously put your life at risk. In these scenarios, calling for a professional tow is honestly just the safest choice.
Moving right along to Section 2, navigating the insurance process. Okay, so once you're safely pulled over and out of harm's way, you've got to figure out the logistics. The experts at All Car Towing Group lay out a pretty straightforward 5-step journey here. Step 1 is absolutely crucial. Contact your car insurance company right away to report the details of the incident. You want to do this fast so you know exactly if your policy covers the tow. Step 2 is arranging the tow itself. Often your insurance company will actually arrange the truck for you. Step 3 is secure storage. The tow truck will store your car securely, and again, your insurance usually covers this part of the bill. Finally, steps 4 and 5 involve damage assessment and guaranteeing repairs. The main takeaway here? Acting fast and calling your insurer first sets up this whole chain reaction, making sure your costs are covered and the whole process is as seamless as possible.
Which brings us to Section 3, the true cost of towing. Now we get to the part everyone really worries about. And what's really interesting about this slide is how the Victorian government actually steps in to heavily regulate prices in certain situations. Let's look at the hard numbers. If you are in an accident in a controlled area, which basically covers metropolitan Melbourne and the Mornington Peninsula, the state strictly dictates the price. The regulated base fee is exactly $417.11. That fee covers the truck coming out to you and the first 8 kilometers of the tow. If you need to go further than that, it's an additional $6.57 per kilometer. This regulation is honestly fantastic because it means you literally cannot be price gouged at the scene of a crash. The price is just the price.
But what if you just break down and it's not an accident? Well, that's where things get much more flexible, and you really need to pay attention. For a standard, non-accident breakdown, a short distance tow, say under 5 kilometers, is typically going to run you somewhere between $88 and $134. But if you need a long distance tow, maybe 50 to 99 kilometers, you're looking at anywhere from $220 up to over $500. Most companies start with a base rate of around $265 plus $4.20 per kilometer. And please be super careful about timing. If you break down after hours, like at night, on a weekend, or a public holiday, you are going to get hit with surcharges. For an accident tow, that regulated after-hours surcharge is roughly $142. For a standard tow, expect an extra $75 tacked on.
But wait, the tow itself isn't the only cost to worry about. Daily storage fees can snowball incredibly fast. If your car is towed to a yard, you're charged $47.25 every single day for a covered car, and nearly $32 a day just for it to sit outside in a locked yard. This escalates so fast. If you leave your car unclaimed for just 14 days, the release costs can soar well over $1,460. So, the big takeaway here, prompt vehicle collection is absolutely vital. Do not let your car sit in storage even one day longer than it has to.
All right, moving into Section 4, the strict government rules. So, how exactly are all those costs enforced? Well, we have to zoom out a little bit. The state government of Victoria oversees this entire operation through incredibly strict accident towing regulations. They actually mandate formal training, police checks, and strict vehicle standards. It's super easy to look at government rules as just annoying red tape, but in the towing industry, these regulations really act as a massive shield for consumers, keeping the roads safe and the prices totally fair. One of the most important ways they protect you is through something called the allocation roster. If you have an accident in Melbourne, you don't just call up any random tow truck. The system dictates that only a specific, next-in-line licensed tow truck is legally authorized to attend your scene. Why do they do this? Because it completely prevents that chaotic, highly dangerous free-for-all of tow trucks racing each other down the freeway to get to a crash first. It stops those predatory practices right in their tracks. And once that specific truck actually arrives, they can't just hook up your car and speed off. No way. They have to use an authority to tow form. This is a mandatory, legally binding document from a bound book completely filled out in serial number order. It spells out exactly where the car is going and exactly what the charges are going to be. You actually have to sign it before your vehicle can be legally moved an inch. Now, you might be wondering, what if you're injured or incapacitated? The rules account for that too. A police officer or a VicRoads officer can legally sign this on your behalf, making sure the whole process stays documented and totally above board, even if you can't handle it yourself. The rules for the tow truck drivers at the scene itself are just as intense. The authorized truck must show up within 30 minutes of getting the call, period. And before they leave, the driver literally has to sweep up all the glass and debris off the road. Most importantly, they are legally forbidden from touting or soliciting repair business at the crash scene. If a driver breaks these rules, like say they try to hustle you into using their buddy's panel beating shop, or they just leave a dangerous mess of glass on the road, they rack up accident towing demerit points and face some truly massive fines. So how do you know for sure if the truck pulling up is actually legitimate? It's all in the license plate. You need to look for plates that specifically say TOW or HTT, which stands for heavy tow truck. Those are the only legally licensed tow trucks in Victoria. Seeing those plates means the operator carries the proper insurance, has passed all the police checks, and meets strict VicRoads standards. I really cannot stress this enough. Do not use an unlicensed operator. Not only are they likely to scam you with a ton of hidden fees, but using an unlicensed truck can actually void your car insurance and open you up to huge personal liability if something goes wrong during the tow. Seriously, always check those plates. Finally, let's get into Section 5, knowing your consumer rights. This brings us to what might be the most empowering part of this whole explainer. You are absolutely not at the mercy of the tow truck driver. You hold specific, highly protected rights during this entire process. First off, electronic payments must be accepted. A driver cannot force you to pay cash on the side of a dark road. They legally have to offer a card payment option. Second, you have the total right to specify the drop-off location. You are the one who tells them where it goes. Third, you actually have the right to flat out refuse the tow before signing the authority if the location is over 125 kilometers away, or, and this is key, if the truck just lacks the right equipment to safely move your specific car without damaging it. And fourth, you have the right to a completely transparent quote before they even hook up the vehicle. To actually enforce those rights, there are a few essential questions you really must ask before you book any non-accident tow. First, ask them, what specific equipment do you have for my type of vehicle? Next, ask, can I get a detailed, itemized breakdown of all your charges? And critically, do not forget to ask, exactly what are your daily storage fees? Asking these questions up front acts like a filter. It helps you instantly spot the legitimate operators. A real professional is going to welcome that transparency and give you straight answers. An unlicensed scammer, they're going to dodge the questions and try to hide those extra fees until it is way too late. And that pretty much wraps up our journey today. By understanding these state-regulated costs, the strict government rules in play, and the vital questions you need to ask, you can totally transform a terrifying roadside panic into a manageable, highly protected process. You are now fully armed with the knowledge to handle the unexpected. So I'm going to leave you with this final empowering thought. The next time you find yourself stranded on the side of a busy road, will you remember your rights? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there on the roads, and we'll catch you next time.